was a fight in the Tuchola Forests during the border battle, which took place from September 1 to 5, 1939, between German and Polish troops. The lack of coordination and unsatisfactory command of the Polish forces led to the victory of the German troops, who outnumbered the enemy and demonstrated tactical skill. During the battles, the Pomozie army suffered irreversible damage, and Wehrmacht units completely seized the Polish corridor, linking the territory of Germany and East Prussia. Until 1919, the territory where the large Tucholsky Bory forest complex is located was part of Germany. According to the Treaty of Versailles, this territory became part of the so-called Polish Corridor, through which Poland gained access to the Baltic Sea. The Poles, hoping for the difficult terrain, established their defensive positions here. On the part of Nazi Germany, it was planned to throw in troops from the 4th Army of General Gunther von Kluge, stationed in the area of western Pomerania, the 19th Army Corps of Heinz Guderian and the 2nd Army Corps of General Adolf Strauss. It should be noted that until 1919, there was a German army training ground in the forest area called Gruppe, German, Truppenübungsplatz Gruppe, so the Germans were familiar with the features of this area, and even Heinz Guderian himself was born not far from these places. The 19th Army Corps consisted of the 2nd and 20th Motorized Divisions, commanded respectively by Generals Paul Bader and Moritz von Victorine, and the 3rd Tank Division, commanded by General Leogier von Schwappenberg. The 2nd Army Corps included the 3rd and 32nd Infantry Divisions of Generals Walter Lichelt and Franz Bohm. By the beginning of the war, the Pomorze army units were deployed in the Polish corridor, the 9th Infantry Division under the command of Colonel Josef Werebej, the 27th Infantry Division under the command of General Julius Drapela, and the Operational Group Chersk under the command of General Stanislaw Gzmotkotnicki. Not all Polish forces managed to occupy their positions by September 1, and the rapid German advance further exacerbated the existing chaos. The Polish troops were too dispersed, and coordination between units, even regiments of the same division, was very weak due to communication problems. At 4:45 on September 1, German troops crossed the border and at around 9:15 made contact with the Polish defense of the 9th Division along the Brda River. After battles at Prusks and Wielka Kłonia and the Poles' retreat from the bank, German sappers were able to begin repairing the bridges over the river at 1800 hours. To the north of this battle at 11:30, the 2nd German Motorized Infantry Division clashed with the 35th Polish Infantry Regiment, which was also part of the 9th Division, entrenched near the town of Tuchola. Frontal assaults across the flat, marshy terrain were repeatedly repelled with significant losses until around 1800 hours when Polish forces withdrew due to the risk of encirclement from the south by Guderian's tanks. The attempt by the 20th Motorized Division to capture the city of Chochnus using an armored train and 2 platoons of commandos failed and led to the destruction of the armored train by Polish defenders. The retreat of 3 Polish territorial defense battalions to the northeast was covered by a cavalry charge of the 18th Pomeranian Uhlin Regiment, famously known in history as the Charge at Krojanty. The 2nd Army Corps on the right flank of Guderian advanced almost unhindered, destroying the isolated battalion that was defending Wetzburg. The 21st Corps, advancing from East Prussia, unable to capture the bridges at Chev, which were blown up by the defenders, moved south and entered into positional combat with the 16th Polish Infantry Division, which had entrenched itself along the Osna, a small tributary of the Vistula. At 1600 hours, they captured a foothold in the area of Rogocno-Zamika. On September 2, by the order of General B, the 27th Division launched a partial assault on Svek and Ticino, which initially pushed back the German reconnaissance units but was repelled by the arrival of German armored vehicles. The 27th Division, suffering significant losses, retreated south in disorder. After 10 o'clock, the 35th Regiment of the 9th Division, redeployed south of Tuchola, began an attack on the left flank of the German 3rd Tank Division but was also repelled with heavy losses. The German 32nd Infantry Division, which was part of the 2nd Corps advancing to the right of Guderian, launched its own attack on the 22nd Infantry Regiment of the 9th Division, which had not yet engaged in serious combat, in the area of Koranowo, and defeated it. Meanwhile, the German 21st Corps, advancing from East Prussia, laid a pontoon bridge across the Osa and, using the 21st Infantry Division, pushed back the 16th Polish Division while advancing across the river. The 10th Tank Battalion broke through the gap, captured the town of Melno, and created a threat to the rear of the Polish army. This encirclement threat caused panic among the troops of the 16th Division, who began to scatter and retreat south. The Polish 4th Infantry Division, located to the right of the 16th, launched a counterattack and achieved some initial success, capturing 100 German prisoners, but the attack lost momentum, and the German 21st Corps continued its offensive to the southwest. On September 3, Guderian recognized the situation and directed most of his forces towards Bydgoszcz. Around noon, the German Luftwaffe began launching airstrikes on the retreating Polish columns, destroying most of the artillery of the 9th Division. By the end of the day, 4,000 Polish soldiers, cornered at the Vistula, were captured, and only the 35th Infantry Regiment managed to break through. Bortnowski, who was left with only the 15th Infantry Division, about a third of the 2nd Infantry Division, 2 surviving battalions of the 22nd Regiment, and about a quarter of the Pomorze Cavalry Brigade, decided to leave Bydgoszcz and establish a new defensive line on the southern bank of the Vistula. During the retreat, Polish units came under fire from local Germans and were forced to fight back. The victory of the Wehrmacht was primarily achieved due to the advantage in armament and military technology, including 300 tanks, under the command of the famous tank specialist, General Heinz Guderian. Under pressure from German motorized and armored units, the Poles had to abandon the organization of a counteroffensive and begin the withdrawal of troops. By September 3, the main part of the Polish troops was surrounded. Some of them were destroyed, but the others managed to break through and retreat to Bydgoszcz. By September 5, the Polish forces defending the Polish corridor were practically defeated. Some of the advancing German troops were allocated to suppress centers of resistance on the Baltic Sea coast, while the main forces continued their advance to the southeast. On September 6, Adolf Hitler arrived at Guderian's headquarters, where he congratulated the general on the successful development of the offensive.